when they did the same test on adults?
No idea.
No.
20%.
2% creative geniuses
that's crazy.
were left as adults.
But we're talking about our future here, and although we would love to have a renewable planet tomorrow, that's probably not going to be the case. So why not educate our future while we still can? So great idea.
We had a tractor that was old-fashioned,
Running on
fossil
diesel or
exactly. And the kid said, if you're doing a book about renewables, why don't you have an electric tractor? Which was amazing.
Yeah.
We hadn't noticed. I didn't think
Of course
about
not.
it. No.
That's awesome.
Yeah. We say that the kids is our future, but when we talk about the future, we don't talk with the kids about the future. Well, that is a problem because we're leaving something to them and we need to involve them already now. This is one of the subjects we are going to dive into in today's episode of The Switch, not just another podcast. And I'm happy to have you here and back in the studio with me again in this new setting and concept. I hope that you shared, subscribed, and also commented on our last episode. And if you like that, I'm sure that you will love this one again. Some of you fell in love with him. I'm gonna give you a second chance if you didn't. Let me help you. Let me welcome our extra co-host, Alexander Helling. Come and join me here up in the studio. How are you today?
I am excellent. How are you?
I'm good. What's been cooking since last time?
The future.
The future has been cooking.
The future is now.
Okay, the future.
Thank you for that tagline.
The future is now. You know the taglines all in. That's good. Listen, today we're going to have a little bit of a special episode. We are going to welcome someone that we cherish and love very much. Actually, the geologist going into creative director, moving into author, already being an influencer. There is no end to what this woman can do.
For
Should
sure.
we take her in?
Let's do it.
Gabriella Skog, join us! Yay! And you have a special friend with you here
I'm bringing
today.
a very special friend,
Tell
Ignis.
Ignis, our friend Ignis. So Ignis, how was your summer? Should I ask that?
She's been traveling around though, haven't she?
She is. She's a global traveler now. Being translated to Mandarin has happened. Icelandic is on the way, and perhaps also Italian. So she's had a great summer.
And we have another old colleague that wants to translate her into Arabic, right?
Oh yeah.
So
Perfect.
For those who don't know, we are talking about the book Our Hidden Powers.
That's right.
Våra hemliga krafter in Swedish. This one, and Alex, could you please?
no, I can't.
We won't try to say this, but we are very happy to see this Mandarin version coming alive.
So
and
happy.
Ignis actually came back from Taiwan recently.
Yeah,
Traveling.
she did.
Yeah.
She had a book launch in Taiwan recently.
That's fantastic.
We're happy to have her here, but we're not only going to talk about Ignis Day, we're also going to talk about the future and the ones who are the future,
Yes.
the children. Are you ready for that?
Yes.
But before that, maybe some of the listeners don't know you as good as me and Alexander does. So I really want them to get a chance to get to know you a little bit better.
All right.
Yeah. Gabriella, let's see what the Wheel of Questions have for you.
Wheel of Questions. If you could eat one meal for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Can I choose a 3-course menu?
For you who don't know, Gabriella is actually a food influencer as well, so this one is a really tricky one for her. Let's see.
It's actually not that tricky. I would choose toast skagen as a starter.
Good.
With a glass
for
of
people who don't know what toast
champagne.
skagen is.
It's a super classic Swedish dish with like shrimps, mayonnaise, and dill on a butter toast. Super nice.
Lovely.
For main, I would choose my mother's köttfärssås och spaghetti, which is like the Swedish spaghetti bolognese
Nice.
with ketchup.
With ketchup.
No fancy thing like parmesan or basil, just ketchup.
Just ketchup.
And a glass of milk.
Yeah.
And for dessert, my grandma's freshly baked cinnamon bun.
Nice.
Also with a cold glass of milk.
But I see a little trend here. It is on the Swedish side still.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nostalgic foodie, for sure.
Would you go for the same courses?
Yeah, I would probably go for the spaghetti bolognese or the Swedish version for sure. I love the Toskagen, but for the rest of my life, I'm not sure. I would probably go with, a standard sandwich with cheese. Make it a little even more simpler.
Yeah, like a limpmacka. Or...
almost, yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
It's not easy to make you guys happy. That's good. Let's see what the Wheel of Question has more.
Wheel of Questions. What would you sing at karaoke night?
I would probably sing like a shocker, like The Real Slim Shady by Eminem.
Oh, do you
Always
rap?
fun. No. That's depending on
Can we
the
hear
definition.
a little bit?
No. Late at night, I do, apparently.
Nice.
Or like a classic Swedish song, like Stad I ljus or
I've
Guldet
been screaming
Guldet
that
Sand.
one very, very much.
It's a
Which
good
one would
karaoke
you
song.
take?
No, I'm, I would also go with like Stad in use, the ones that you can really
Yeah, and that's the
scream,
thing. Like,
you know.
you don't need to hit the tones right,
No.
as long as you like dedicate.
No, the absolute best part is when you're actually in a car
Yeah,
and no one is actually hearing you. You're driving so fast and you can like put on the volume and you're alone and you can really go deep down.
I'm the same. Like, if I go for a long drive, a few hours, like I end up having a sore throat because I've been singing for so many hours.
Actually, Gabriella, do you remember that he actually interrupted us?
So, yes,
We were
I
driving
do,
from a conference in Reno, and we were having this epic moment of...
what song was it?
It was Gabriella's song.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and we were just...
Gabriella song was that?
Yeah. The Swedish song for the for one of the musicals.
Yeah. Så som i himlen.
Så som himlen, yeah, exactly. And and she goes into crescendo, and then it's like, and then it says Alexander Helling, and you're destroying the moment.
And the worst part is like when the song stops and you only hear our voices. I'm like, jeez.
Well, now we got to know you a little bit more. You are, together with me, the author of this book, Our Hidden Powers, that has actually sold soon 10,000 copies.
That's right.
Right? We have them in many different countries, and it's been sought after. We actually have been a little bit overwhelmed.
For sure.
Yeah.
To say the least.
But if you go back to the moment, like when you realized that this was a good idea, what actually convinced you to go forward, except for my good technique of negotiation?
Exactly. I would say the short answer is you convinced me. But no, like when when you presented the idea for me and I had a thought about it, it really made sense to write a children's book about it. We've all been to these conferences and missionarying about the world of geothermal for adults and other energy industries. And perhaps sometimes feeling like you're in an echo chamber, like preaching to the choir. But we're talking about our future here. And although we would love to have a renewable planet tomorrow, that's probably not going to be the case. So why not educate our future while we still can? So,
Definitely.
great idea.
What actually convinced you to say yes? Because it's a pretty risky idea. It's not our core business as a geothermal company to write children's book.
No, it's definitely not. But I think it's, well, of course, your good negotiation technique. No, but it makes a lot of sense. Like if you talk about geothermal, there are so few people that actually knows what geothermal is, and especially if you ask, young children what is renewable energy. If they know it, then they will say solar and wind. So we need to start early. How do you build a sustainable future? So it made a lot of sense, and I also think it's not only a book written for children, it's also a book written for adults, because if you can explain it in a way where like my daughters 4 and 6 can understand what it is that it actually means, that a lot of other people and adults will also feel quite comfortable. Okay, I can actually understand what is this and how does it work.
I agree. Do you think that was it difficult to write something complicated? You are a geologist from the start, and to take it down to the level of a 8-year-old, was it difficult?
Yes and no. It was difficult, but it was really fun. Like, it was a good exercise because we rarely get the opportunity to explain what we do. Geothermal is such a small industry, and everyone in it is experts already.
Did you test the concept?
We did.
Yeah.
We really did early on, like involve kids in our inner circle. And they loved it from the beginning. I think we just tweaked it a little bit based on their feedback.
We actually got pretty good feedback.
Already from the start.
One example was, I remember we had in the illustrations, we had done a tractor. And we had a tractor that was old-fashioned.
Running on
Fossil
diesel or...
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the kid said, if you're doing a book about renewables, why don't you have an electric tractor? Which was amazing.
Yeah.
We hadn't noticed. I didn't think
about
it.
Of course not.
No. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no, we got brilliant feedback, really. And I think like in the exercise of just explaining geothermal to kids in like a simple but still fun way was really good for all of us, I think, because we've gotten these questions from kids and also adults, like you said, in our outer circle that's not in the industry, and explaining geothermal to someone that's never heard of it before, it's quite hard. So I think we succeeded in a good way.
When you've been reading the book, do you feel that the children understand? What kind of questions do they ask back?
Really good questions, like where can we apply this in the world? Can we do it in our backyard? How long does it take to build a power plant? So like super, everything from high to low level. But I think reading it to children, you can really tell that they actually do get it, and you shouldn't underestimate them. And that's, I think, was a huge part of writing this book, because kids learn a lot about the recycling and taking the bike and eating vegetables in school and preschool, but not so much about the energy mix. And that's a huge part of the fossil emissions today. So we got sort of a confirmation that, yes, we should include kids in the energy debate. And they're brilliant when we do it.
Do you think that we involve children enough when it comes to the energy question and renewables? Do we ask them enough questions?
No, I don't think so. And I think it's evident when you look at the statistics of how many kids are suffering from climate anxiety. And much of that anxiety is inevitable, I think. Adults also have it. You can feel that you don't have power to change your own fate, but I think including them in the future discussion about it, educating them on what can be done, and enlightening them in that everything makes a difference. Like, we all have the power to change, can actually decrease the anxiety that's based on feeling hopelessness, or that you can't really change anything. It's out of our hands. We're just kids. So yes, I think we should include them a lot more rather than underestimating them in the difficult questions. It is a difficult topic. We also included some topics for discussion in the end of this book to actually help adults bring up this discussion with the kids. If you get a question from a kid that you can't answer, do the research together. Like, go on Google or watch perhaps a documentary together. If you can't answer, like, no one can know everything, but you can actually learn together with your children.
What was very important and dear to me when we wrote this book was to tell a story also about something that a kid can recognize themselves in. And in the book, Ignis is trying to understand her actual power. That's why it's called the hidden power. So understanding your hidden power and also using it to make the world a better place. Do you feel that we as adults give the kids the opportunity to use their actual strengths? Or do our norms and ways of living stop them from actually using them? What are your thoughts?
A good and difficult question. I just think of my own daughters. I think that we could probably give them a lot more freedom. I think that we try to push down a lot of what we believe is the right way to do things, but that is probably, there's probably a lot more better ways or more innovative ways to actually do it. So I think that we can, as parents, be much better at, allowing kids to both get the education or the knowledge, but then use it in new ways, so that we have to become better of giving them the freedom to take that knowledge and use it in a better way.
Now that there was interesting research done by George Land, first time in the 1960s for NASA, where they actually looked into creative geniuses. And they started asking questions about who is a creative genius and what entitles it, because they were looking for people in that industry that was at the time new. And they did research on 1,600 kids up to, I think it was 5 years old. And then they did it on 9-year-olds, and then on high schoolers, and then on adults. The youngsters, the 1,600, they had 98% of creative geniuses. Can you guess how many creative geniuses there were left when they did the same test on adults?
No idea.
No.
20%. 30.
2. 2% creative geniuses were left as adults. So when it comes to school, I mean, a dream come true, Gabriella, for this book is that it actually becomes a part of a teacher's schooling in kids. What do you think that we can spark if we give them the creativity and the knowledge in early age?
A lot, I think. And I think, the book has a great message for kids, but also for adults, I think, to sort of empower not just talent, but interests. Like a kid doesn't have to be specifically good at something. If they're passionate about it, give it a go. And I think there's always going to be a gap between an older generation and a younger, and a phase where the younger generation will actually know more about a specific topic. I think technology and computers is a good example. When I grew up, computers were seen as a really bad thing. There's still that sort of gap. And my dad pulled out the internet when I was on the computer for too long. And nowadays there are apps for kids, that wants to learn programming and become fluent in programming languages even before going to school. And there's still, of course, a good debate about how much screen time you should have. But those kinds of things, like maybe you don't actually understand the interest that your kid has, but if they're really passionate about it and has the chance to grow within it, just give it a go, perhaps.
Yeah, and what I think is also fascinating with this book, it also gives adults a way of discussing climate change with the kids. So it actually teaches me, to have a better dialogue together with my kids, which I think is also what's needed in many, not only in renewable energy, but in a lot of other areas. Because I, as a parent, I don't have the knowledge myself. So this gives me a platform to have, a good discussion with my kids. And use that as a stepping stone to become better.
To add to that, there is a big gap of competence in our industry, but also in other renewables. Will we educate them fast enough? What do we do about that?
I think that, we have the the education systems that we have here in Sweden, at least, are quite good. And I think they are focusing quite a lot on sustainability. I think by having a dialogue, sparking the interest and seeing, what is possible and making the kids want to work with this, that could help that, of course. But then what we need to do is, as an industry, is, of course, to provide interesting jobs. I remember when you and I started working together, you came out of university and we had a discussion that, 10, 15 years ago, then most of all the geologists, they actually went to the oil and gas industry. But in your class, there were very few that were interested in actually going in working for oil and gas, even though they were paying higher wages. So I think, that is, it's happening. So what we need to do as a company and industry is to provide the opportunities and make sure that we can support or supply jobs that is interesting for the kids to work at.
And I mean, that's another dream I have with the book, because I mean, there is loads of people out there who is working in different industries that needs to go into school again, reschool themselves and educate themselves again. If we put this in the hands of a kid that has a grandpa or a father or a mother or a sister or a brother who reads this, who is in the other industry and says, this is something that I can move into. I think that is something that can really make a difference, because we need to do a transition. And I think that can also help us not to get so much resistance, because I understand that people from the oil and gas industry are afraid to lose their jobs because if it's gonna stop exist, and they are going to slow down the process if they have to, because that's how humans work. But if we can show them that there is a future industry over here through kids, that can actually make a huge difference.
Yeah, I think so.
And probably move the process faster. So to conclude a bit of this talk, now that we've had Gabriella, what is your hopes for this book and what do you want to do next?
If I can dream out loud, like having it in all school libraries and perhaps like museum shops all over the world, scientific museums and natural history museums, and just having it as a staple, really, for educating kids in this age about renewable energy. That would be a dream. And what's next? A sequel, I think.
And who is going to be the little character? We don't know that yet. But which one would you wish for? Which one would you like to have a problem, Alex? Is it Ignis, or is it Sunny or Windy? Who's your favorite?
Well, Ignis, of course.
Ignis, of course.
But I cannot say anything else. But I think all of the characters are fantastic, and I think that we could probably make sequels of all the characters individually. And the good thing is here how they find and collaborate and work together. I think that's fantastic. But another question I have, because the sequel is this book is written for 8 to 10 year olds, right?
Yeah.
Was there a particular reason for 8 to 10, or?
It was. Because who buys books still to a 6 to a 9-year-old?
Parents.
And so how can we affect the parents then to buy the book? So through the parents, we can reach the kids. We can't and don't want to go directly to the kids, but we want to influence both of them. So that was the reason. And in addition to that, there is actually a big gap in educational material for this age, because we often think that they are not interested and it's too difficult. It's pretty interesting just to pick up on that, the feedback that we get when we're looking into other publishing opportunities in different countries. For example, if we dare to mention now US, where they actually told us the feedback was that this is too difficult for a kid to grasp. What is your perspective on that? Because it's pretty interesting. I had my reaction, but what's your perspective there?
Well, I think that would be underestimating this particular age group. I think we set 6 to 9. And why I think that is because we tried it and it was well received. And none of the questions were in the terms of, I don't get this. It's more, tell me more about this. So I going back to what I said earlier, we shouldn't underestimate kids of this age group. Tell them more, and if they don't understand, try to explain.
Yeah.
Don't underestimate the kids out there. I have probably underestimated Alexander Helling because he is going to give us a challenge, Gabriella.
Fun.
I'm not sure. It actually involves these paddles, and we need to say yes and no to this. So, are you ready?
Yes.
I am not ready. Here we go.
I'll do my best.
Okay, let's see here. And I told you there are some certain questions I will not answer.
Yeah?
Yeah.
But well, you have to answer them, right?
No. I will go like this then. Okay, let's see.
All right, so first question. Will geothermal be a major part in the energy mix in the future?
Yes.
Yeah, I think so.
How big?
I think it's going to be a base. So I hope for 50% minimum.
And what is necessary to reach that?
We need to be able to scale, and we need to be able to have the technology so that we can drill everywhere. That's my perspective as the geologist.
Yes, that's the geologist.
Yeah, definitely. Technology improvements and research, but we also need politicians on board and kids' interest in the industry to want to work with us in the future.
Boom.
Next question. Will Ignis be in all schools in Sweden by the end of the year?
In all schools?
Well,
in a school? Yes.
Yes.
That we already know. She's been visiting a couple of schools already. We're working on getting her to all the schools, yeah.
All right.
We
Okay.
hope so.
Very good. All right, so next question. Have you ever stolen anything? What?
And I got caught.
Oh no.
It was really embarrassing. It was the thing for the hair, the band for the hair. And first time
They
got
took
caught
you and booked
immediately. So I had to call my
By
dad.
the store manager?
Yep.
Ah.
By the store manager, I had to call my dad.
Oh no.
Yeah, it was really embarrassing. I get embarrassed. It was, but you know, this is something, a lesson I learned. My dad kept the secret. He never told my mom.
That's interesting, those when one parent don't tell the other.
Yeah. I'm not sure if it was good and if I would appreciate it, but
Let's hope she doesn't listen into this episode.
now she knows.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no,
Okay,
she knows.
all right.
It's okay.
I stole actually a book from the library when I was like 8 or 9. And it was
About renewable energy?
No, about a wild horse, like a fiction novel. But it was a really old one and I couldn't buy it anywhere. So I wrote like a really calculated email about my backpack being stolen.
So you were actually having a strategy
And
behind
I
it.
knew that because I was like 8 or 9, and I knew that they were going to reply, you know, oh, that's okay, things like that happen, keep the book. So it wasn't the right thing to do, but I still have it in my bookshelf, and I love the book. So.
That was more good. That was no better than mine. Okay. What more do you have for us?
Have you ever told me that you're working when you are not?
What?
This goes into the yearly salary reviews.
No. What happens in the pod stays in the pod, and for everybody that are listening.
More than once?
On a regular basis? I don't know, should we continue? Who has it? Have you?
All right. No, of course not.
Oh, that's low. Come on, have you?
All right. So, will we have sold 50,000 books by the end of the year?
Probably not.
Yes.
I want you to buy at least 40,000 books so that I can keep this sign up. Please, come on now.
I'm changing mine as well.
Yes, very good. Very
Is that a good answer?
That's a good answer.
There we go.
It goes into the yearly plan.
Okay, so it's okay to not work when I'm saying I'm working as long
as
I
you reach the goals.
Okay, good. Well, that was good. Now, thank you, Alex, for making us lose face, but also being honest, truthfully, and having some fun, because that's also needed.
For sure.
So let's dive into the next segment. Things I can't let go of. Sticking to the climate, of course, but things that has happened that you really stick with you, that you want to discuss. Maybe you've told the story many times. What would that be? Let's start with you, Alex.
The thing I can't let go of is the amount of wells being drilled in the geothermal industry and oil and gas. It's been on my mind for quite some time, but I thought about it now during vacation, and just the numbers are so big. Like last year we drilled less than 200 wells for geothermal, and we drilled more than 70,000 wells for oil and gas. And that needs to change. How do we drill for geothermal instead of oil and gas? And that's a big challenge for us to solve.
Here.
I agree. Gabriela, what about you?
Something that I've thought about also during vacation is the climate change and how it affects our vacation habits, especially in Sweden. Swedes are super dependent on the weather and the summer months, and it's almost like we feel that we have the right to nice weather in the summer. So I remember, like in the beginning of the summer, we had a prognosis that it was going to be a super hot summer again. So a lot of the charter flights were cheap, and then it was bad, and a lot of people went abroad. And I just feel like it's so interesting how many things, speaking of things we can let go of, we're able to let go of, like eating vegetarian food or driving electric cars. But when it comes to our vacation, we feel sort of entitled to sunny weather. And I was in Sweden during the summer and Denmark, and I think the weather was fine. Like we had some rain, but mostly sun, and mostly above 20 degrees every day. And it was just a nice classic summer, and I think all the farmers were super happy about the rain that we got. So I think it's just interesting, and I would love in the future that we sort of include the vacation habits when reflecting about the climate and what everyone can do about it.
Good insights to remember and not let go of and think of, and I hope that you also make sure to talk and lift and discuss those things that you cannot let go of. But I have to let go of you now. I'm so sorry. I would like to stay. I know you maybe would like to stay. If you want to treasure this moment even more, make sure that you share this episode, that you subscribe, and that you send it to someone that you think could actually use this and make the switch together with us for a greener, better planet. Until I see you again, take care of yourself and hopefully also someone else. See ya. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Good job today.